Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Triggered. I'm your host, Zachary Clark, and you all know my co-host, Hannah Adam Furman. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Doing okay.
Good to hear. Here in this beautiful spring day.
Yes, gusty. It's supposed to be gusty all weekend, so I'm going to be raking some leaves out of my hedges.
Bluster. Well, you gotta rake them like in a place where the wind takes them and blows them either into the street or your neighbor's yard.
They're going to be blowing down the street. Just FYI.
Such a uncivically minded individual you are.
There's, I got to clean out. Speaking of civics, I got to clean out a bunch of garbage that is in my hedges too. Not my garbage, my neighbor's garbage.
See, your neighbor knows the cut of the game or whatever that old saying.
I mean, neighbor as a general term. It's not like literally the person's next door is garbage. It's probably when the garbage truck leaves their back end open and just stuff flies out.
I'm regularly picking up Busch Light boxes out of my backyard to get blown in there. And I'm just like, somebody's just like going through cases of Busch Light and they're stacking behind their garage until the wind comes.
There's always a Skoal in our driveway, like an empty can of Skoal. And it's been like that since we moved in here.
I think someone just probably needs his tires slashed.
We've gone through to when. No, that's not true because it might be someone down the street, but like not my next door neighbor.
Yeah, he's just tossing his cans of Skoal in there.
They're new. They just moved in like 2 months ago.
Oh, maybe when they moved in, the guy was moving out. And he's like, "Hey, I've been doing this thing. Screw that guy. He's getting cans of dip in his driveway for the rest of his days." So
yeah.
bad.
Between raking the leaves out and then also lopping some saplings that are growing in the hedges.
Yeah, I need to borrow your pole saw one of these days, though.
Ooh, I just used that. I used that a couple weeks ago.
Is it a chain pole saw, or is it one of those with the thing?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
A chainsaw on the end of a pole.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know because some of them it's just like a manual one, and you have a rope.
Oh no. Okay. I'm like, what other thing could it be?
There's the non-powered kind.
Nope. No, it's powered.
Sweet.
I did that. I took off some stuff, and one of my sons goes, "Hey, Dad, it looks like you did nothing outside." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he goes, "No, Dad, I didn't say you did anything. I said you did nothing." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's called sarcasm." What's that?
I don't get it. No, I was saying that you didn't do anything. I wonder where he got that comment from. Anyway.
I don't know why they get that they pick up this stuff.
I don't know. That's such a mystery. I forgot to tell everyone that we're coming to you live straight from the bar that Ketanji Brown Jackson had to go to after she was grilled in the Senate this week. If y'all didn't hear, there is a new Supreme Court nominee to replace Justice Breyer, who is retiring.
Breyer?
Breyer?
I thought it was Souter.
Is it Souter?
I don't know. I get those two mixed up. They look alike.
Is Souter still on the court? Who are they? Let me name the 9 real quick. Clarence Thomas, of course, my boy. Then you've got Alito, Gorsuch, Roberts, and Barrett, and
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. I almost forgot old Cavi Webby.
Yeah.
Sotomayor.
Kagan.
Kagan, and then Breyer. Souter is not on the court anymore. I don't believe.
You just counted 8?
I counted 9. There's the 6 conservatives, and then there's
Kagan,
okay. Sotomayor.
Okay.
Justice Breyer. Retire? Question mark?
Maybe Sotomayor or Kagan replaced Souter.
I believe that is true. That was like, this feels like 10 years ago.
Probably was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was more than that.
Yeah, that was an Obama situation. But there's been some interesting statements made by the current nominee. I don't believe that any of them will impact her getting nominated, but I think it's going to create some fun and games for the primary elections, and I applaud it.
It's just games right now.
Yeah. Ain't nobody saying she ain't getting on. There's going to be sufficient votes. There's 51 of them. When old Kamala Harris casts hers when she gets back from Eastern Europe or wherever they're shipping her off to, after half of her staff resigns, or whatever has been going on with her.
Oh, what? They did?
Yeah, there's a shake-up, and they're, doing a thing. It's not because of gross incompetence or anything.
Oh, okay.
But as usual, we will kick off the show with some local news coming to you from the Scanner Radio.
There was a little bit more oomph behind that one.
Inbox. Second night in a row, B-2 stealth bombers flying over Marblehead going east. 2 last evening coming from the northwest, turning back to the west, going back to Whiteman. This evening, 3 B-2s going east and not turning back to Whiteman. Dun 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 dun. First strike stealth bombers heading east with all speed.
So I laughed at first because I'm like, this is a crackpot thing. But no, the base for the B-2s are nearby.
Yeah, nearby.
So, it could just be your average Wednesday, too. So
this is actually poor OPSEC. We now have intelligence on the radio. When the Russians skim the scanner page, they'll know that there are B-2s en route. Oh, World War III is happening soonly. It's like, I don't know, man. How long did it take after the Archduke got assassinated before World War I really got going?
I don't know. Hank, how long did it take?
Oh, God. Hank is worthless. Hank!
I want to say it was within, 2 weeks or something. Maybe not. I don't know. Because they did give each other, the kingdoms gave each other, ultimatums. So it wasn't like, this is happening right now. It was like, you have until the 3rd Sunday in the next month to do this.
All right, June 28th, 1914. Remember that?
June 28th. 28th? Yes.
Well, that doesn't help. It began July 28th, 1914, with the assassination of Archduke Prince Ferdinand. It doesn't help us. We're not talking about that.
You'd have to look in to see when the
Battle of Mons, August 23rd, 1914, was the first European clash.
Yeah, so it's the the focal point, like the cause, the actual cause of the war would have been the assassination. What they say, June 28th, July 28th.
I believe it was.
I
Well,
heard two different.
the Wikipedia says the war started on the 28th of July, and the internet also says that the June 28th was the assassination date. So, June 28th, assassination. July 28th, war were declared.
Yeah.
August,
Like,
first battles.
It was like you bring up. So it was a month. It was 30 days.
Oh, it was getting close then.
Yeah, we are getting. Well, especially glad that they're, we're being isolationist here. We're not sending troops over there or anything.
Adam, we have sent troops over there.
No, because Ukraine is not a NATO nation.
Biden sent troops over there, and there's already troops in Germany.
Well, yeah, there's troops they've been there for 70, 80, 75 years.
Yeah. That doesn't mean, saying they're poised to, what was the latest thing? Ukraine said NATO needs to secure the borders to enforce sanctions.
Yeah.
That wouldn't cause World War III at all, President Zelensky. I did see also that, and this is probably all propaganda, but there was a Twitter post where they're like, some Russian soldiers have been captured with chemical warfare response kits on them. Evidence that they're being issued these things. There's been talk of Putin, in his desperation because the thing has gone so sideways on him, is going to start using chemical and biological weapons, maybe even the nukes, against the Ukrainians.
Things have gone so sideways, he's not making any progress. Oh no, Kiev's about to be cut off.
There was recent stuff out that there have been counter gains by Ukraine. They've taken back territory that they lost at the initial push that has been in complete Russian control for days, weeks, or whatever. So I don't know, because everything is fake. But I do know that I am outside of drafting age for the initial rounds anyway, so...
Yeah, what was I'd ask my dad, and he'd be like, "Oh, if they're coming for me, we're in deep trouble."
Well, they had to just give me a gun and a little bit of training to protect the home front if it's getting that bad. Oh my gosh, don't ship me to Ukraine. That reminds me of the Illinois militia and the initial Illinois Constitution, though. We don't need to get into that right now. It basically, end of the story, it turned into a fancy boy club, and no one was part of the militia anymore by the end of it, and so it sort of just fell apart. Civil War time, there was only a few units left, and they were trash Nancy boys who couldn't fight anyway.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
To bring it back.
Bring back aristocratic military elites who fund their own units and armaments going into battle and things. They train from boyhood to have martial prowess and to lead men.
Talking about make everyone Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, I was thinking Polish hussars, but my cup of tea. Let's see what else we got here. There was quite a few things. I'm going to save some spoilers. I'm saving some of the scanner items that I thought were good back, so we don't shoot my whole experience on the scanner in one go in case it's a slow week. Inbox. Strange individual walking door to door asking for a person by the name of Day-Day. In the Grandview subdivision, he was confronted and acted really suspicious. White male with 2 lip piercings on bottom lip, wearing black clothing and had on black sunglasses.
It's like I just picture the front man for Green Day.
Does Day Day live around here? Sir, I think you might be lost. No. I'm pretty sure I got an address. It was this in this neighborhood. Day Day. I'm sure you know Day Day. I don't know what you're talking about, boy. You best get out of here.
Yeah. What's this deal about? Oh, I'm in the general vicinity, and you going door to door asking if Day Day lives there?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're looking for a drug dealer. I know Day Day. Day Day lives around here someplace.
Yeah, that's when the people who are answering the door at what time is this?
It doesn't give us a thing. It says 10:13 p.m. was when the inbox was reported. But I don't know if that means that that's when the event was occurring.
You answer the door, one hand's on the door handle, and then the other hand's on your Glock.
Is Day Day here? I don't know about Day Day, but I've got my Glock 45.
It's you on a CD with the 357 Magnum.
Oh no. Just some 38 special hollow points for you, friendo, if you don't decide to scray. Oh, and finally, 12th and Chestnut, male, in black and white dress, asking people to buy him alcohol. QPD on scene. I think this individual... Well, I don't know. They call him a male, but I don't know that we're biologists, Adam. I don't think that we could.
Even that's problematic, Zach, because biologists can't even.
Oh, that's true. Biologists can't even say what a man or a woman is. So it's saying this person's male, particularly when they're wearing a traditional female dress, would indicate that they are in fact a woman, because as we know, the stereotypical gender identity roles that are attributed traditionally to women is how you indicate that you are in fact a woman.
Wait. I think that... No.
That's how people know that their kids are trans, Adam. It's when a little boy starts playing with Barbie dolls. That's how you know. That boy is clearly not a boy playing with Barbie dolls. He's a girl. It's obvious
because girls play with Barbies.
Because girls play with Barbies. He loves wearing dresses and pink stuff. Girls wear dresses and pink stuff. You
gotta reinforce those gender traditional. Wait a second.
You got a girl and she likes to play in the mud and wrestle? Not a girlfriend. You've got a boy on your hands. Better get those hormone blockers flowing. You don't want them to accidentally turn into what they aren't by a natural process.
So messed up.
Hey, if you're lucky, you can even castrate them before the age of 12. Anyway. Don't mind me. Let's get a black pill here. Oh, but there was some good stuff. Anyway, this subject, male or female or neither or both or some third way, no, we don't know, it was counseled by the police and he's on his way down the street.
An whole ordeal sounds like a weird 80s song.
Oh. Gonna be my sketch, one of our sketches for our sketch comedy show.
For Quincy Public Access.
There ain't no public access right here. It'd have to be on the YouTube.
Put our show at the theater.
We all know that our YouTube credentials can draw a crowd. We regularly have 10
Hey,
people.
I think our Fruit of the Loom commercial. Our Fruit of the Loom commercial. We had the budget for it. It would work.
Yeah. I would like to put that together sometime. After I win the lottery, there will be lots of stuff that's going to happen.
Like, you call up Fruit of the Loom and say, "Hey, I'm going to do a commercial for you, totally
We
free on
got
my
it.
end."
We got it taken care
Like, wait, no. Say, no, you don't get a say. We're going to advertise for you for free.
of. We'll just call Meat of the Loom.
Oh, no. Oh.
Veggies of the Weaver.
What?
It's an eggplant, a cucumber,
No, that's
and a lettuce leaf. And that's the it's the thing. It's like a direct parallel instead of fruit. It could be meat.
meat of the loom. There you go. Just sausages.
Yeah, you have your bratwurst, your kielbasa, and like a T-bone steak.
Some meatballs.
Now you're talking. Yes, like the grape. It's like a cluster of grapes. It's just meatballs. It's just like a group of meatballs
Oh.
with gravy on. Hey, we're selling underpants here. They all smoke.
Got like a turkey leg on there too.
They're all the meat, but they all wear wife beaters.
And tiny whiteys.
Yeah, they smoke. Hey.
I think this devolved from our original plan.
We'll make this into a whole series. That's
it'll be
the brand.
Claymation. It's in claymation too.
The best part is if this takes off, then we actually start an underwear company.
You don't even need an underwear
of the loom. And it's like, because nowadays people are wearing like boxer briefs and they're different kind of briefs. No, tidy whities. That's all you get. Tidy whities and A shirts. That's the only products that this underwear company offers, and you like it. Hey, we're Meat of the Loom. I don't need any of that fancy stuff. The meatballs are drunk in the back. They got like a sixer of Bud or whatever in their grab. I like this more and more. The more and more we talk about this. I've got the whole canon laid out in my mind now.
Whole what?
Canon of advertising and like mascots and themes for the marketing for this.
Mascots. Hey, it's Meaty the sausage.
I'm sure we could hire some guys. There's probably prop guys out there that they make that stuff. That's somebody that made the Fruit of the Loom. Guys, remember when they actually had the fruit be guys?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah. Remember like the grape guy walking around.
Yeah, see, that's sort of what I'm thinking, but they'll be meat. and scummy.
You get what you get.
You get what you get, you don't throw a fit. That's what I tell my kids. You don't see your kids. You shut up about that.
Yeah, it's because of the judge for that one. It's not me.
Corrupt system. You go on an anti-government rant.
Oh my.
As the commercial fades to the title card. Meat of the Loom. And I'll get that judge too. Oh, yep. Oh man, we're gonna have to do this one of these days.
Meat of the loop. And we're priming ourselves for acquisition.
But as I had mentioned, there is a Supreme Court nominee that has been being put through her paces. She was questioned by the Senate, and boy, was she ever able to respond to all of those inquiries with a succinct, direct answer that in no way could be interpreted as any kind of flip-flop flandering. Especially this one. Here, I'll go ahead and play it because, you should probably listen to this and know who's going to be the Supreme Court justice because she's only 50. She'll probably be on the court for the next 40 years.
As you said, the guideline was based originally on a statutory scheme and on directives, specific directives by Congress at a time in which more serious child pornography offenders were identified based on the volume, based on...
That's right. So back in the day, this is talking about child pornography sentencing guidelines. Back in the day, you would decide that someone was a worst offender in the child pornography possession realm if they had a large number of images. So you got a suitcase full of your disgusting kiddie porn, then you're worse than the guy that's got, a deck of playing cards or whatever these sickos are into. I don't know. I don't know how that makes sense, but let's continue.
On the number of photographs that they received in the mail. And that made total sense before, when we didn't have the internet, when we didn't have distribution. But the way that the guidelines...
Oh, so the internet changed things. Because you had to get it in the mail before, because you can get it on the internet now, it's changed. All right. I'm following.
Line is now structured based on that set of circumstances is leading to extreme disparities in the system because it's so easy for people to get.
Wait. It's easy to get it. So if you have more, it's not as bad.
Because of the internet. That's the key that you're missing.
The internet made it easier to get kiddie porn. And so because it's easier to get, it's causing disparities because the law is
easier,
structured in pre-internet terms.
It's easier to get a lot, volumes and volumes of it.
So because it's easier to get it, it's created disparities because before it was hard to get it, and before when it was hard to get, you were punished more harshly when you had more, even though it was harder to get it. So if it's easier to get it and you have more, then...
Wait a second.
Hold on.
Wait, this means you're committing the crime more and worse.
You're committing the crime more and worse, but it's easier to commit now. So it shouldn't be punished as hard. Hold on. Maybe she'll clear this up. She's got another 30 seconds. Let's see what she can put together here.
Volumes of this kind of material now by computers. So it's not doing the work of differentiating who is a more serious offender.
Okay. So because it's easier, the law punishes them, but it doesn't differentiate because they have volumes and volumes of kiddie porn on their computer, it's the law punishing them isn't differentiating them as a worse offender because of that. From a guy who just has what a couple of JPEGs or whatever, versus a guy who has terabytes of kiddie porn. The law currently would punish the terabyte guy worse than the 2 JPEGs guy, and that is not differentiating a worse offender.
Wait, no.
The
no,
guy
what-
with terabytes isn't worse than the guy with the JPEGs. That's what I got out of that. What did you get out of that?
Yeah,
They both got their
wow.
images on the internet where it was easy to get them. One guy had terabytes, one guy had 2 images, but the system that would punish the terabytes guy more isn't differentiating between the seriousness of offenders and is creating a disparity in the sentencing of those
I don't-
people.
It's hard to understand that because you could see the amount of files, or you could judge it by the
Yeah,
size.
one
of
guy
the,
has literally tens of thousands of images, and one guy has 3. So the
Yeah, you
exact same metric that was used in developing the sentencing guidelines to differentiate between serious offenders would apply. But because it's easier to get on the internet, that you can't punish the guy with the thousands of images worse because it creates a disparity because they're easier to get on the internet. I don't know. She'll got 17 seconds left. Let's see what she can put together.
in the way that it used to. So the commission has taken that into account, and perhaps even more importantly, courts are adjusting their sentences in order to account for the changed circumstances. But it says nothing about the court's view of the seriousness of this offense.
What?
As you said, the guideline was based originally.
What was that last part? Hold on. I might have to just listen to your last few seconds there again, Judge.
It says nothing about the court's view of the seriousness of this offense.
So, the sentencing commission that she sat on recognized that this disparity exists. This disparity, as we've outlined step by step, how it makes complete sense to not exist anymore. Identified it and said that they should change the sentencing guideline for these kinds of child pornography offenders. And then she says that, and more so, courts have been making a distinction and in their sentences adjusting them to account for the fact that these disparate sentences are being imposed, but those courts aren't making a judgment about the seriousness of the offense. I will literally give $100. Hey, I will give away $100 to anyone who can make that make sense. Hey, free money. All you gotta do is say, Zach, you're missing this key point here, and this is how it exactly makes sense. But I listened to not only this clip, but a lot of the surrounding conversation for this with Senator Hawley, and it did not make any sense at all.
No.
And as this person says, what circumstances have changed regarding child pornography? Question mark, question mark. And to which some guy responds, none. She's insane. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. To you, and we and you had this conversation. What it comes down to is that there is people don't think that child porn should be punished as harshly, but they don't want to come out and say it because then they're going to be labeled as pedo sympathizers. Maybe rightly so, but it's not politically advantageous in an election year to have your Supreme Court nominee come off saying that child porn is punished too harshly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You get stuff bubbling beneath the surface about whether or not it's what is that? It's an orientation.
Maps? Oh, there's
Oh
been
yeah,
all kinds of weird stuff where people are
yeah.
pushing
Over the
like
past,
child pornography shouldn't even be
yeah,
illegal because it helps people to prevent themselves from offending or whatever. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
That's been bubbling beneath the surface. Yeah, it's been making some headway too over the past few years. But that's
yeah. I
you're
think
right.
anybody
It's not.
that advocates for that is a clear red flag, and we should put them on a list and confiscate their hard drives and then put them in prison.
I was gonna say a list. There's
Not hard. I don't imagine, except for the overarching conspiracy to protect pedophiles in this country, that it would be too hard to identify these people and then use traditional surveillance techniques to identify them as violating these laws. If anyone were interested in doing that. However, as we know and have talked about on this show, high echelons of our intelligence and justice communities have been arrested but not prosecuted for child sex crimes. So wouldn't be very shocked at all if they just ignored everything and went on
ignoring,
prosecuting
and
the
then
Jan
also
6 rioters or whatever they're doing.
yeah, ignoring it, pushing it aside, using prosecutorial discretion, and then you've got uh, cherry on top, judges who think that it's punished too harshly.
Yeah, I found a survey that was referenced in a lot of the articles that were going into supporting Justice Jackson's response here and the way that because what had happened was one of the senators had discovered whatever they were doing background research and they're trying to identify counter points and opposition to her based on her record, and they were able to take sentences that she had issued in certain child pornography cases, identify them as being below the guideline sentencing range, and then use that as a focal point to attack her and her record. And then of course, then the big media machine has to churn up because as you know, if they're on the side of good that the media agrees with, that they have to then put out 100 pieces defending their position, supporting it, justifying it, and all these other things, and rationalizing it and attacking her attackers. It's disingenuous. This isn't cool, bro. In fact, 70% of the sentences issued by courts have been below the sentencing guidelines in these categories. So it's perfectly normal. What about the 30? What about the 30%?
All that does is tell me that Alex Jones is right. It's just
There is a cabal protecting and giving a soft landing to child sex predators. Very interesting. It's telling, though. You read these articles and they'll say this. It's like it was typical. This is the rationale. It's typical for judges to deviate and go below the guidelines because they, as Justice Jackson here says, acknowledge the disparities created by having the law not be updated to reflect the ease at which you can get volumes of child predatory exploitative pornography. Which, again, I will pay you $100 if you can explain this to me. But they do not. They don't go the next step. Obvious next step, Adam. Okay. Was it certain judges that were just imposing these below guideline sentences? You just referenced 70% of sentences. Was that 70% of judges that had these cases and issued sentences? Or
Wait. It was 70% of sentences? Oh. I didn't know that. I thought it was 70% of the judges.
70% of sentences. Now you're seeing, why would you use that statistic specifically?
I misread that because I thought it was 70% of judges believed that it was.
70% of sentences issued. And, as we know, not all judges are assigned to a criminal docket. They're not going to be hearing the child pornography cases. So, of the 70 sentences that were issued, they were probably issued by, I don't know. But you could break it down further and say, these are the judges that are doing it.
It'd be like 25% of judges or 10% of judges or something.
They could have been, of the ones that issued sentences, yeah, it could have been. Like, just a handful of them issuing all these sentences.
Because not everyone's going to have the criminal cases, and even if the criminal cases, they're not all going to have, like, juvenile criminal cases.
Yeah. Why didn't they get a comment from one of the many judges, apparently, that don't deviate below the guidelines? Adam, why wouldn't they just say an expert, a judge who sentences these crimes regularly in criminal courts, and ask that judge, hey, you don't deviate below the sentencing guidelines, and it's been widely spread around that it's typical and there's disparities. Why wouldn't you do that? Because these are heinous crimes that exploit children in the most degrading and disgusting ways, and they deserve all the punishment they have and more than the guidelines offer. Oh. No, we're not publishing that. Anyway, that doesn't fit our narrative we're trying to push right now. Anyway, we'll try to justify the people going easy on child sex predators. And this definitely doesn't have nothing to do with QAnon. Anybody that says this is some kind of conspiracy is one of those QAnon crazies, and pay no attention to anything.
Also, yes, just to clear the air, she was the judge in the Pizzagate.
She was the Pizzagate
judge.
She was the judge that oversaw the trial of the Pizzagate guy. Perfect. Oh. Hey, at least when she was sentencing this man to 4 years, yes, that is 3 years and 9 months longer than she sentenced an 18-year-old child pornography offender who was viewing pornography image of children at the age of 8. At least when she sentenced the Pizzagate guy, she said this. She had no reason to doubt that Welch thought he was being helpful, but said she could not overstate the concern that other people will see what he has done and be inspired by it. No matter how well-intentioned, people are not allowed to take matters into their own hands, she said. Well-intentioned, man.
It's not even true. Like, you can do self-defense of others.
That is true. He didn't have a justified, reasonable belief or whatever. He was based on internet conspiracy theories that everyone knows aren't true, like a cabal of high-level officials protecting child sex predators. That doesn't exist. I said it before, I'll say it again. The conspiracy isn't that the satanic cabal exists. The conspiracy is that there's somebody going to save us from it. I'll say it every time. Until they ban me. And then we'll be on Odyssey, where all 10 of you can continue to watch the show. but it was disturbing and telling, and the more people thought about it and the more people heard her response, the more they were like, I thought that she would have been fine, and then I started seeing these hearings and stuff and the way she's answering these questions, and I'm just like, ooh. But that's not all, folks. You thought child sex predators and getting light sentences was the best you could hope for. Well, I have some news for you.
It's a train wreck. I mean, I don't know.
It was an absolute train wreck. Oh. Well, that's not just it. Apparently, the new nominee to the Supreme Court is having a little trouble defining her terms.
Oh,
No. Adam, what even is a woman?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
Yes. The first black woman to be appointed to the court cannot even define that term because she is not a biologist, obviously, Adam. Obviously. Who are any of us to define words that we regularly use in our everyday life? What do you mean when you say that? I couldn't say. I actually don't know. I don't want to be lynched by the mob if I were to.
You could even. Oh my
try
gosh.
to define it.
It's such a garbage take too, because as you know, being involved in the legal world, you don't want to get bogged down to technicalities and stuff. And so what you would just be like is you'd be like, oh, well, generally. So you take generally, that's your condition for what definition you're going to give. Generally, a woman is,
I don't know.
obviously, as per our earlier discussion, someone who plays with Barbie dolls and likes pink.
Obviously. Long hair, dresses, tea parties, baby
Princesses?
dolls. Princesses. Oh, yeah. Princesses. Nail polish and makeup, these sorts of things.
Yeah.
That's how you know you have a girl on your hands. So I've been told.
Well, she could have said those things.
She could have said lots of stuff. If I was in her shoes, I mean, I don't know, because she's under a lot of pressure, Adam. She's sitting there being questioned all day long, or whatever.
She was just outed as a child porn protector.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
Can't even define what a woman is. I think that this comes on the heels of, because I believe that the judge is tied into in like on the wavelength of the community that is aware of attacks on woke progressivism. And there's that Matt Walsh thing that came out and was making all the rounds like just a few weeks
he's
ago.
gonna come up with a new thing. It's great. He just came up with like a trailer for it. It's
He was on
it's like
Dr. Phil, and he was,
Yes, he was.
and he was asking the pro-trans side to define what a woman is, and they refused. And he's like, "That's what I'm saying. You can't even do it. You're lying. You know what it is."
That's what he was doing. It was, I don't know. It was good in the sense that he's just showing how they're liars. Yes.
Yeah, and so she's like, obviously she's got the indoctrinated talking points locked in. She's like, I actually can't answer that question, and this is, I'm not a biologist. I can't say exactly. But that was a bit too smarmy. What she probably should have just said, probably what I would have said was, Senator, I need you to define exactly what you're asking me. Because a woman could mean a lot of different things in different contexts. And specifically, I might say that if we're talking about dimorphic sexual reproduction in human beings, you can define woman in one way, and if you're talking about gender identity or other sorts of things, then you could encompass that, and it could encompass a number of different situations in these things.
Yeah, even like narrowing it down to like case law, right? Like you could even, because like I was joking about the pink and like the long hair and stuff, like that could be considered woman as far as like a particular case with like discrimination or
I think they get into it. I can't remember. It might have been Holly asking her questions again, or one of the other ones. I can't remember. But they're in civil rights Supreme Court precedent. There is a distinction between strict scrutiny and extra scrutiny for equal protection cases between racial matters and sex discrimination or sex claims or sex cases where it's about a woman being discriminated against, for example, because the court has acknowledged in its precedent that there are real differences between men and women. And so they're not entitled to the same kind of deference that they give to, say, a racial discrimination case. There are specific
and by the way,
cases that address what a woman is and why women can, in some situations, be treated differently and why it isn't illegal.
Correct. And that is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg opinion, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It's
So, it'll come up, Judge. You're going to have an idea about that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Because this spawned this excellent retort. And this is what I was talking about, how the news machine had to gear up to defend her. We got USA Today. Scientists, gender law scholars, and philosophers of biology said Jackson's response was commendable, though perhaps misleading. It's useful, they say, that Jackson suggested science could help answer Blackburn's question. But they note that a competent biologist would not be able to offer a definitive answer either. Scientists agree there is no sufficient way to clearly define what makes someone a woman. And with and then in the next phrase, only separated by a comma, and with the billions of women on the planet, there is much variation. Billions of what? On the planet?
Undefined term.
You used the word. What did you mean?
Yeah.
You have a definition for it, you idiots. You used it.
They're not idiots. They're just liars. And this is proof here. Plus, I don't know. It's weird stuff because they say scientists use like a lot of generic terms, and they couple that with like gender law scholars and philosophers of biology. Philosophers of biology? What is that?
The philosophy addresses any number of ways to think about a particular subject. So you have.
So here's someone in the lab cutting up frogs, and then someone else is like sitting daydreaming about cutting up frogs.
No, they're thinking about. All right. So what is a frog?
Okay, move on.
How do you distinguish a frog from a toad? When you're classifying species, and there's a whole philosophical arguments and premises that undergird how science is conducted and how you think about things. Philosophy is just a concept. Let's see. I'm going to try to define this, Adam. Philosophy is
they're philosophers of biology. If you're a biologist, depending on your degree, you have a doctor of philosophy in biology.
Yes.
So I mean,
there are the guys that cut up frogs, And then there's the guys that come up with theory and philosophies behind biological concepts and these sorts of things. Like Darwin, for example. A little bit of both, right? He had a philosophy.
Yeah.
He came up with a theory of evolution, and as he identified, how species diverge and specialize and adapt to environmental pressures and things. That's a philosophical argument and idea. But it doesn't. Yeah, they are liars. They use the word. They have an idea in their mind what that meant when they wrote it in their word processor. What did you mean when you said women on the planet? And it's like this, I think, because the new woke doctrine is that it is an identity that is adopted and defined, self-defined by the person who identifies as it. Whatever concepts, characteristics are present in that person that they determine are required for them to meet that identity.
Right, they're playing make-believe.
Yeah. Well, what they're saying is that a woman is a person who chooses to identify as one.
Yeah, okay.
And that's fine. That you can define it that way. That is a definition. You can say a woman is a human being who identifies as one. And each individual who identifies as a woman will have different characteristics that go into making up that identity and differentiating it from other gender or sexual identities. And say, let's take this a step further, Adam, even though they aren't, even though this makes sense. And if you might be a philosopher of biology, you might ask, what are the common characteristics oftentimes adopted by people who identify as women as differentiated from, in those particular subjects who identify as women, from their conception and identity of what men are? You could even then build an entire, body of characteristics that human beings generally might have. In fact, you might not want to limit it to only those individuals who identify as women. You might want to take some individuals who identify as men and say, what characteristics do you think differentiate you as a man from another class of people that you consider to be a woman? And then you can build this whole counter body of evidence of characteristics that human beings consider. And this is all without getting into biological characteristics and differences that exist on some sort of structural, genetic, chemical level, because now you're just talking about the identitarian ideas that are surrounding personal conceptions of these labels and statuses. And you could even in that structure identify characteristics that make up a person as being a man or a woman. But that's forbidden knowledge. And I shall not today attempt further to define, and perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so, but I know it when I see it. Yes, someone quoted the obscenity case to define what a woman is in this thread. Oh man, we're not going to be able to get anything. It did spawn this wonderful meme too. First we have the Kavanaugh hearing and it says, believe all women. And then it's, I believe you call this the boomer meme.
Yeah, I did.
It's the second panel where it says, well, not all, some women, because that's Amy Coney Barrett, a handmade conservative appointee to the court who's going to enslave women. And then we get to present day. What's a woman?
Yeah, I can't believe that. I can't believe that was taken from when she was talking about that.
Define a woman, mother effer. You don't have to be a biologist. I can't do it. No, I can, not in this context. Say what again? Oh, you can. Oh, and that, we didn't have time to get into this too deep, but she also claimed that she described the community of black Hebrew Israelites as a vegan culinary religious community. A cultural community around healthy living.
So fake. So fake.
I hope she's just lying, and she actually has, because she even ruled on a case involving a community of black Hebrew Israelites that she would actually have some information about that group other than how they are a cultural community centered around healthy living.
That's not what it is. Even if you're... That's not how it is. That's wrong. You hope that she lies, because if she's not lying, that means that she doesn't even know. She doesn't even do the case.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh man, I don't even know.
But we know that she does read the case. Well, I don't know. You know what I mean?
In Ohio, did you know that you need a license to fish, but not to concealed carry a gun? Think about that.
Sounds like a good place to live.
Simply
Aside
cannot
from
wrap my
needing a
mind
license to
around that.
fish.
You can't kill a fish without a license, but a human, no problem.
Who gives out licenses to kill humans?
I'm pretty sure that's a crime, this person says. I agree.
Okay.
PolitiFact was going buck wild crazy too. They say this is mostly false claim that a Democratic governor gave COVID relief money to Planned Parenthood. He did do that, yes, but those funds aren't being used to fund abortions, Adam. They're only being used to fund an organization that provides abortions.
No, we've talked about
Completely
that.
different.
Talking about that. You just move the numbers around, right?
Hey, if your time is short, Democrats... I'm not even going to read that. You all know. It's a bunch of crap. And I got to bring this up. I think about this like every other day.
It just occupies your mind.
It occupies my mind. Eyewitness accounts of fighting dragons.
We've covered the meme below it. We've covered that before, I think.
I have, as time has passed, become more and more aware of the deep lore that exists and about how, and I've become more open to the fact that these things are true, and that I, in fact, believe that dragons were real and that they were dinosaurs.
They were enemies of mankind.
And they were enemies of mankind. There were so many enemies of mankind, though. It's hard to say.
Agents of Satan.
This, at the top here, of this meme that we've brought up before, which is which tells you all that you need to know, is how the Middle Ages people depicted dragons. Oh, that's weird furry thing. That's nothing near a dinosaur, how we conceptualized them in 1850. Or dinosaurs, we conceptualized them in 1920. Or a dinosaurs, we conceptualized them in 1970. Or a dinosaur is a... Wait a minute. Scientists have now proved, in my mind, Adam, they have proven with their current elaborated state that the medieval depiction of dragons was not only true depiction of what dinosaurs truly looked like, but are clear evidence that dinosaurs roamed the earth to near modern times, and in fact they could still be around today, We don't know. The vast corners of the earth have not been explored. But
Yeah, especially the vast depths of the oceans.
But there were
Jeez.
horse-sized winged dragons that did battle with knights in the Middle Ages. Enemies of mankind, predators in the darkness. All these things are true. As Adam knows, people of European descent often have a collective dream, a dream that is shared across peoples from different regions. And people of Europe often dream of teeth. Often in the context of teeth falling out, and there's different ideas about what that means. But I choose to believe that what they're dreaming of is just teeth in general. Gnashing teeth in the darkness. Gnashing teeth, snatching babies from their cribs. Or a man by the edge of the campfire alone out into the night. And these predators that stalked us in our primeval mind live there still. And that's why the Europeans were so harsh and violent, is because they grew up facing winged dragons, ice trolls in the form of Neanderthals. Oh, you had all sorts of things preying on us and hunting us in the dark. People forget. They don't know the deep lore, Adam. They don't know the truth. I'll try to bring you guys little pieces.
Oh.
Across
I thought you were gonna bring out the lady with the flower in her hairs or something.
Oh gosh, I did. With a mouth designed to eat Big Mac's whole, casting curses on anybody foolish enough to listen to her entire chanting video on the internet.
Oh, that.
But
Can't be listening to that.
as usual, though. All right, we need to wrap this thing up before we get going on too long. We need to come clean with our ice cold fact of the week, straight from Ice-T. Except for this time, tragedy, Adam. Tragedy.
Oh.
Ice-T has suffered a horrible, horrible tragedy, and let me just relay it to you from his Twitter account. No ice cold fact this week, only ice cold tragedy. I was robbed at a gas station in New Jersey last night. After my hands stopped trembling, I managed to call the cops, and they were quick to respond and calm me down. My money's gone. The police asked me if I knew who did it. I said yes. It was pump number 9. I tell you,
It's so good.
I started reading this, and he had me. I was hooked. I'm like, oh my
I know,
gosh,
me
Ice-T
too.
got robbed.
Me too. I was like, oh my gosh, who would rob Ice-T?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And then I'm like, oh, it's a hilarious
I was
joke.
like- it was like when Rick Moranis was assaulted. I'm like, who would do that?
It's funny because gas prices are so high. Her, take me somewhere expensive. Me, say less. And they're at a gas station. Awesome. Regular or premium? I'm just looking, thanks.
Good.
Wow.
That's bad.
All right, folks, that's our show.
Stagflation.
What?
I said stagflation. You gotta love it.
Inflation, it's happening. Not only that, we're going to fuel shortages, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a good time. Maybe food shortages, if you can't pay $100 for a loaf of bread or whatever.
Yes. And soldier shortages. They're all going to be over in Ukraine.
All our B2s are already headed that way. But that's our show tonight, folks. We really hope you enjoyed it. Smash like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and you can get all of your triggered content. Oh, Adam, did you have anything you'd like to add here at the end of the show?
I was just thinking of really propping up that $100 bet up online for you. Hey, $100 to make sense of this.
I will pay anyone $100 if they can
I'll pay you.
in context as she relayed the facts and the rationale. If anybody can make that make sense, I will pay you $100. But that's our show, folks. And we will see you next time on Triggered. Good night.